Hi, folks. Welcome back to the Shifting Schools podcast. It is our final week of our month-long May Micro Menu Prompt Challenge. We have loved hearing from listeners how they've been using this to get experimental with AI. I cannot believe it is the end of month. Jeff, can you believe that it is the end of month?
I don't know where May went. I don't know. We got outside though. The weather here in May, as you know, in the Pacific Northwest, like May is our month of change. So my wife and I have done some hiking. We're out camping, just trying to get outside as much as possible. So I pretty much know where it went outdoors. But yes, I can't believe we're at the end of the month already. Such an incredible time to be here. But thank you, Tricia, for all you're doing with this May micro menu. I think it's such a great way to just to slow down a little bit. We talk about this with AI. Slow down, one prompt at a time. Build up some skills. We're learning a new skill here. The skill is prompt engineering, and it's just going to take time and dig in. And we appreciate you being here at Shifting Schools, listening to these podcasts. And if you listen to the end of this podcast, we have a special little treat for you. So make sure you listen all the way to the end. Tricia, real quick, why don't you review what are the 4 different menus inside this package?
So the 4 different menus that we have for you, and again, the menu, that word is key. As Jeff mentioned, slow down, just maybe try out one of the prompts. It does not need to be all of them, and try it out in a way that's social. So the free guide does set you up for a collaboration with your team where you're trying out a prompt and then you're reworking it for your context, because we know that you are the expert in your context. Week 1, we were looking at community building. We know that's important. Week 2, we were thinking about ways to reimagine feedback. Last week was focused on the power of play. This week, we're going to be focused in on executive function, stuff that's hard all year long, but I would argue it's even, I think it's like at an all-time hardest when it's late May, early June. So again, we're going to talk through this week's menu in a little bit, but Jeff, we also have an asynchronous pathway that's been available. It's our foundational AI literacy course. Do you want to tell folks a little bit about who that course is for?
Yeah, head over to shiftingschools.com and you can purchase that foundation AI literacy. Tricia and I have put this together. It is an asynchronous pathway. So you will get videos and links and resources from Tricia and I all around getting you started, just giving you some real basics around AI. We break down, what does GPT stand for? We talk about what are the basics of prompt engineering. Tricia does a great job of taking you through that. We put these in video format because we know with video, you can pause, you can speed us up. If you already know something that we're talking about, you can give yourself a big old pat on the back and you can skip that part of the video. So we love making these asynchronous pathways for you because it puts you in control. And you know what? If you're feeling a little behind the times right now, or maybe this is the first time you've been able to pick your head up out of your classroom and even think about AI, what a great place that you can go and sit, grab a cup of coffee, and just spend some time for yourself, doing some professional development for yourself. And all you need is your computer. We're really proud of this one. It follows the same, if you downloaded any of our other asynchronous pathways, it follows the same kind of menu pathway that we always put together here at Shifting Schools. So that's there for you too. Also, just a quick reminder that you can save $25 when you use that code SSPOD20. And I know we keep saying that code. It's amazing how many people don't use the code when they purchase. And we know there's podcast listeners out there that keep purchasing our stuff and aren't using that code. And we really want to reward you for being a listener. So make sure you use that code there, SPOD, all capitals, 25. That makes it $50 for you. And then you should instantly get a download there, not a couple minutes after, by the time the emails go through and everything like that, right in your email box to get you started. It's a great little pathway. We're very proud of it, and just a way to get you the foundations of AI literacy so you can start building this summer into next school year.
Yeah, we know often early adopters get a lot of praise, they get a lot of shout outs, but bold, brave beginners matter so much to our communities too. If you are one or you have one in your department or team, please do let them know about the course. It's there to support them because we want to make sure across the board in our schools, everybody feels supported with their AI literacy journey. Jeff, you and I this month have also been fielding some questions from our newsletter and podcast community. And the one that we are going to talk about this week, and by the way, if you've got one you want us to talk about, you can always reach us at info@shiftingschools.com. The one that we're going to talk about this week is the following question. What is the most fun way you have used generative AI recently? Jeff, you want to get that one started for us?
Oh my gosh. So Tricia and I both have the pro accounts, mostly because we're doing training in it and we need to know what the latest part is, but also because I totally think it's worth $30 a month if you are a professional. But man, what I've been playing with is I've been creating my own custom GPTs to do anything for me. If you have any repetitive tasks that you want to help streamline, to be able to create your own custom set of instructions and allow it to do that same repetitive task for you. The one I've been playing with though, Tricia, you're going to love this one. I'm a big wine drinker and I've got a wine cellar in my house. My wife and I, this is what we do when we travel the world. Like my wife just got back from Budapest. She brings back wine. We don't bring back little trinkets. We bring back wine. I've got a spreadsheet of all the wine in our cellar. And because it's me and I'm geeky this way, I've got it all labeled like what drawer it's in, what's in drawer 3, rack 4, column 2. Like that's how my wine cellar is set up. But I've got all this stuff in my spreadsheet and I've created a Google sheet that I can go in and I can search for different things. Patricia, I was like, this is a perfect chat GPT, my custom GPT. So I created a custom GPT. I know people need to look at Tricia's right.
It's just, Jeff, I feel like only you could hear the question. The word is about fun and your brain goes to spreadsheets. That is so on Jeff Udick brand. TM.
So I created a custom GPT. It's called my AI. My wife calls him Al instead of AI. She calls him Al. She's go ask Al. And so I've given him custom instructions. And part of the custom instructions are when I ask you, we are having food for dinner. I want you to only choose wines from my database. And I uploaded my spreadsheet and said, find the best pairing of wine from my spreadsheet. Here's how and I gave it the directions. Here's how my spreadsheet is laid out. Here's what you can find. When you do give me a wine, because I'm geeky like this, I want to know why you chose that year. What were the weather patterns that year that made you choose that wine? What agricultural region was it from? And why do you believe the soil type is best paired with this? This thing, Tricia, is incredible. And we've now used it. I had friends over the other night and I was showing off and I used it. And my friend's like, can I go get and because then it says at the end of it, I even prompted it at the end of it, it asks the question, would you like me to tell you where that wine is located? And all I have to do is say, yes, please. And it says, it's located in drawer 3, row 2, column 1. And you just go down, pick it out of the drawer, bring it up. So the other night we were barbecuing chicken and I just asked it because you can do the conversation mode.
Yep.
And so I'm interacting with it over voice. And we talked about this last week, multi-module interaction. And so I'm like, look, we're barbecuing chicken with potatoes and we have a barbecued broccoli. Anyways, whatever was on the barbecue at the time. And this thing picks a 2014 Malbec from the Walla region. This is exactly why I picked it. Here's what I want. And it paired perfectly.
Wow.
So that's my geek out moment, but that's how I'm having fun with it right now. I'm creating these custom GPTs are incredible. And I think that's the future. It really is. That's where we're headed. We can talk about that at a later show, but creating these small micro GPTs that do exactly one thing and do it really is the future where this stuff is going. And that's what I've been starting to play with. How about you? What's your fun moment?
It's going to be, I should have gone first. Wow, that's a great example. My example is about gardening. I feel like I'm also maybe on brand with gardening being like the level of fun that I'm at, but I'm still a new-ish gardener. A few years ago when I first got into it and I was doing the whole raised bed vegetable thing, I was like, none of this is going to grow. So I better put a ton of seeds in. And then, of course, come August, it was more squash than anyone could have done anything with. And so I've become a little bit more well versed with gardening, but we were doing some landscaping and I was really curious, could ChatGPT, if I took a picture, could it identify, we were putting in some new ground cover, could it identify
Mm.
it? Because a lot of those ground cover plants, they look really similar. It did identify it correctly,
Oh, great.
but I also wanted to know if it would be able to predict how quickly the ground cover is going to spread in my
Oh,
area.
wow.
And then also, I asked it to give me an image of what it thinks it's going to look like a month from now. So I'm saving
Wow.
those images and I'll see how closely
That'd
ChatGPT's
be cool.
prediction is. But yeah, I've really been having a great time with asking it for landscaping ideas and
Mm.
seeing, again, how closely, because it depends on where you are in the world, right? It depends on your weather conditions and your zone. And it's really interesting actually to see how well trained it
Yeah.
apparently is in all of that. So that's been some fun experimentation that I've been doing.
Yeah. The one I want to play with, and we talked last week on the podcast that OpenAI just came out with some new updates along with Google. But one of the updates is it's supposed to do words better in images. I haven't played with that yet, but I want to play with that because that was one of my biggest pet peeves. It would create the perfect image that I wanted, but the words would be misspelled.
Mhm.
And of course, because it's generative, you say, okay, redo that same image, but spell it right. It creates a whole new image for you. So I'm excited to see if some of these updates around the multi-module stuff, which is interesting. That's both of what we're talking about. I was using voice activation. You're using images. It's very interesting. All these different ways we're going to be able to interact with our AI agents in the way that this is going. But I think that idea around if it can spell better in images, that's going to be a game changer for everybody as well. So it'll be an interesting one to see.
And it's again a reminder, anybody who's watching any of these updates from some of the big players in the AI world, how often someone will say a sentence like it's like some variation on, these are the early days of generative AI.
Yeah.
And that it can already do what it can do, it blows my mind. It
Yeah.
absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah. I know. It's going to be incredible. That's enough for everybody. Everybody's probably rolling their eyes at us at this point. Like, these people are geeks, which is why you listen to this podcast. You don't have to geek out. You just have to listen to us. We geek out for you. And then we create amazing micro menus because we're geeking out and learning all of this for you and then bringing you along with us as you are our bold beginners, as Tricia likes to point out. So we're going to jump in to our May micro menu. This is our fourth in the series. If this is your first time listening to us, you might want to go back and listen to the others. We're going to be talking about our fourth one here, all about executive functioning. But before we do that, a quick word from today's show sponsor. Discover the power of acknowledgement with Libra. In a world where every staff member's dedication shapes the future, recognizing their efforts becomes our mission. Libra transforms your school into a place where achievements, big and small, are celebrated daily, creating a ripple effect of motivation and pride. Join the recognition revolution with Libra, where every achievement is a cause for celebration. For more information and a free demo, contact me at jeff@shiftingschools.com today. All right, Tricia, this last micro menu around our month of May is all about executive functioning. Can you just give us a quick, when we talk about executive functioning, what are we actually talking about, Tricia?
So we are, in essence, talking about what lets us enact the learning. There's a great blog post from Harvard Learning where they compare it to the analogy of it's basically like your flight control deck. Like, you might know how to fly the plane or you might have the plane technology, but you also need that coordination of putting everything together. And I think anybody who's ever felt maybe overwhelmed by a project, or you've got a set of instructions that's one step too many, what executive function is. It's what lets you organize, it's what lets you self-monitor, check in, and really get from the beginning step to the completion of the project in a way that's not the most stressful thing you've ever experienced. And research has shown that it's extremely important to have this set of skills. And it's not something that is innate. We're not born having these skills, but we can learn to do these things. And in order to learn to do these things, we need a lot of practice.
Mm,
So I feel like anybody that's done any kind of project-based learning, how important it is for students to be able to break down a large goal into smaller tasks. And I think we want to make executive function much more visible for students, right? It's the glue that keeps all the learning together. And we want to talk about what are these skills exactly? So, this micro menu gives you 3 different mega prompts that tries to make it really explicit. What are we talking about when we're talking about executive function skill sets? Jeff, I asked you to pick one of the 3 prompts that you would be most excited to play around with. I'm so curious to hear which of those 3 like really appeals to you.
I really liked because I used this the other day when I saw this in there. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even. This is the thing I love is I read these prompts sometimes like I never thought about using AI that way because there's just so many ways that we don't even think in our own head about. But right now, my life is all about project management. I feel like I've got so many projects going on that I needed some, and the way that AI can support you in getting those projects done. So that's the one that I've chose is one that Tricia created called Project Manager. Here is the prompt. I'm going to read it to you. This is what you would type into your AI assistant. Ready? Here you go. You are a skilled coach and mentor. Please generate a framework I can use for name number of weeks, say 3 week, a 3 week project on, give it a topic, gardening. This framework should provide numbers and types of questions I can use to do whatever you need me to do on my understanding of landscaping, right? Please write me 4 motivational phrases I can use when I feel tired, frustrated, my plants die, whatever it might be. So there are parts in this prompt. What I love, Tricia, is you've put parts in this prompt where you get to fill in those blanks, right? So you can say, I want to use this for, is this a 3 week project, a 1 week project? Or maybe students are going to use this to say, look, this is a project I need to get done on Wednesday. How do I break this down into 3 days? A project on whatever topic. The topic could be gardening. The topic could be getting my solar system project done, or studying for the AP test coming up, or whatever it might be. And then the framework that you can provide. Break down this prompt for us a little bit better. What are some of the things that you put in this prompt that you really like?
For me, it's that end piece where I'm
Mm,
asking it to give the motivational phrases, and it's how many motivational phrases you've got to think about that you need and for what corresponding emotion. And I
mm,
like that because I think if we present this to our students, we're also going to be able to do some of that relationship building. I might even have a word bank of different emotions that can come up during project work. I think there's a very big difference from frustrated to confused.
mm,
And we could have a great conversation around which motivational phrases, yeah, that actually would be encouraging, or that does seem to match with frustration versus that does seem to match with confused or overwhelmed. And there's a great like little SEL lesson in there, I think. And then I also might learn, gosh, I never knew that student who always seems so confident that they get really frustrated, or is it
mm,
angry? I think there's like a great little emotional literacy piece to asking students to reflect on what is the hardest emotion that you have to deal with when you're working on a
I love
project.
that. I love that. I never think about that until I'm frustrated. I'm like, there's the emotion. But to be able to think about that ahead of time, like, where am I going to need some support when I reach that end, what that looks like. But again, just such a great mega prompt here. The other 2 here that we're not going to read, you're going to have to go download it. They're in the show notes, or head over to Shifting Schools, or if you're a newsletter subscriber, you're going to get it there. But Tricia created another one on task translation and another one on goal navigation. And both I think would be great for this summer to even give kids, as we're heading into the summer months here in the Northern Hemisphere, to give these 2 students to be thinking about, okay, what does this look like? And how can you support yourself in whatever you're doing this summer? Set goals for yourself this summer, whatever that happens to be, getting outside or getting off your computer or doing whatever it has to be. And can you use your AI agent to support you in creating those goals and giving you some feedback on them? So I think it's a great way to get these in front of kids right now.
I think it just, again, it helps dig into the details and the specificity because
Mm,
as you were talking about Somebody might have heard you talking about you building your GPT, and they
Yeah.
might be thinking, I want to learn how to do that. You could take our goal navigation mega prompt and make it specific to learning that because Jeff, as all too well, learning to build a chat, your own GPT, yeah, that's a big task. It's made up of a series of different little things that you've got to learn to do and experiment with.
Yeah.
So, again, I just think sometimes students can be overwhelmed when it's one big thing. How can we help them learn different techniques and strategies to break it down, to create a specific time frame, and to really get in there with some of the nitty gritty stuff so that we're not overwhelmed by a big project, but we
Mm,
do see it as a series of steps.
I love that. So if you've been listening all month long, this is our final episode on our May micro menus. These are all a bunch of micro menus. Again, Tricia talked about this at the start of the show. The idea we call them menus is we break this down, we give you choice. That's the idea here. The idea isn't to use all of them, it's to pick the one that speaks to you and then go play. The way you learn AI is you have to go play with it yourself. That's every training that I'm doing. You've got to bring a device. If you're just listening to people talk about AI, you're not going to understand the power of this. You've got to go because it's so individualized. It is the most individual technology that I think has come out in a really long time. It is about you, the individual, your word choice, what you need it to do for you. So you've got to go play with it. And our hope is that our micro menu of AI prompts here in May is supporting you in doing that, supporting you and supporting your kids to understand having those conversations in the classroom is where it all starts when we're talking about this. So please go download that in the show notes below, or you can head over to shiftingschools.com and download it over there as well. Or if you're a newsletter subscriber, it's right there in your newsletter as well. All right, Tricia, if people have made it to the end of the show, we've got a special thing. If you're still listening, this is for you. Here we go. Tricia, what's our giveaway?
So thank you for still being here. Again, thank you if you've participated in the month-long challenge, you've shared any of the menus with your colleagues. If you are the first one from your state or country to leave us a rating or review on the podcast, you can do that on Spotify or Apple, telling us what you took away from our May month-long challenge. We're going to gift you a free pass to our Foundations in AI Literacy, entirely free. Now, if you're listening and you're thinking, I don't listen to this podcast through Spotify or through Apple or through YouTube, because you could also leave us a comment there, you can just email us. Our email address is over there in the show notes. It's info@shiftingschools.com. Again, we'd really love to hear from folks. We did switch things up in the last 2 weeks. People told us that 6 prompts was too many, so we cut it in half. These final 2 weeks have just been 3. So give us some feedback on that if you would like, or if there was one prompt template that really started a great conversation in your community, tell us which one. We'd love to hear more from our listeners. We absolutely love getting feedback from the Shifting Schools community.
Yes. And we love getting ratings and reviews. That is how we continue to grow the podcast. We are very excited that we were just named one of the top 5 educational technology podcasts. Congratulations, Tricia.
Congratulations, Jeff.
And that has to do with your ratings and reviews. So please do. They do help. They help in so many ways. So if you do listen somewhere where you can give us a rating and review, please do that. And then please email us info@shiftingschools.com. Tell us what your favorite menu is, or what's your fun that you're having with AI right now. It's just great for us to get that. And we will email you back and we will give you free that AI literacy pathway. So you will just get that right back in your email. So reach out to us. We'd love to have you. Thank you for sticking around for the month of May, our micro menus. Give us feedback on this too. Did you like this? We'd love to do more of these. If we get feedback and say, please keep doing these, we will absolutely keep doing these. Tricia, what's coming up now for the summer as we now kind of transition into our summer months? Unlike other educational podcasts that take the summer off, we don't. We just try to record a bunch of stuff early and release them. But this summer, I'm really excited. We've got last summer was all about esports, and we saw so much great feedback about our esports miniseries that we decided to do another summer-long miniseries all about the power of play. Tricia, can you talk about what's coming up this summer?
Yeah, we're going on a huge deep dive. We've got an extraordinary menu of experts that they've thought about play in very different ways. So I think part of the success of last summer's series on esports is we're looking at esports from a lot of different angles, and we wanted to do that when we're thinking about the power of play. There's an overwhelming amount of research that talks about how much learning can happen through play and how good it is for us just at a physical and mental health level. So we're really excited. Next week, you're going to be hearing from more about Libra, who has been supporting the show. And Jeff, you've been doing a great job of helping school leaders think more about how they can leverage Libra. And then after that, our Power of Play series kicks off and it runs all the way through the summer. We did ask listeners and newsletter subscribers what theme they wanted us to dig into. And that was one that seemed to really resonate. So I'm also mentioning that because while summer is coming, I also know that fall will be right around the corner. So if you've got a theme, if you have a deep dive that you'd love to see us dig into on the show, reach out to Jeff and I. It does take us, we really take time and care with researching guests. We want to bring folks who we know will be engaging for you to listen to. So if you've got a theme, you've got a topic you want us to explore, the sooner you can let us know, the better. We do really aim to please. Again, we appreciate our podcast listeners so much, and we hope to continue to deliver great guests for you to learn from and connect with.
Yeah. And our guest lineup, I'm just looking at it here on my computer screen. We've got everything from a Yale professor to a musician, composer, to the director of Serious Play to Progress, the founder of the National Institute of Play, just to name a few. It is going to be an incredible series. We've already started recording it, and they are just mind-blowing, in-depth into the power of play, and not only for kids, but for us as adults, and how good it is for our own brains to get curious and be playful in our own work and lives too. That's the reason why we are also pre-recording a lot of these now, is because Tricia and I want to be playful in our own lives and do some things this summer as well. But we're really excited about this mini series. Give us feedback on that. That again gets started here in June. All right, Tricia, thank you so much for another great episode. This wraps up our May focus on AI prompts. Again, download that in the show notes over at shiftingschools.com. If you do leave us a rating or review, email us at info@shiftingschools.com, and we will get you that Foundations in AI Literacy for free. Thanks, Tricia.
Thanks, Jeff.